Welcome to another edition of the Daily Vlog. My name is Dr. David Dizer. Thank you so much for tuning in. On this program, we cover all things holistic health and wellness related. I am a naturopathic doctor in Vancouver, British Columbia, and the medical director at DailyHealth.com. On this episode, we're covering my Day 5 update. If you haven't been following the journey so far, I've been doing a keto vegan cleanse for 5 days. We've been developing this program for our Dami Lean members at DamiHealth.com, as well as for specific patient populations in my clinical practice. We use ketogenic diets in epilepsy. We use it in certain types of cancer, and we use it at the initial onset of type 2 diabetes. If you have been diagnosed with any of those conditions, that's something to consult with your primary care provider about. So, I'm 5 days in. Today I'm giving the update for what was Day 5. I'm actually 2 days out, and I'll speak to that a little later as well. On the 5th day, here's what I noticed. So, of course, I tracked my weight and my waist-hip ratio throughout the entire experience, and in addition to symptoms. After day 5, my weight had gone down 8 pounds, most of that probably water. So 172 down to 164. My waist-hip ratio went from decimal 9.4 down to decimal 8.8, which is actually good. Decimal 9.4 is far too high for me. Decimal 8.8 is actually quite good. I'd like it to be a little less. We'll see if trying this again in a couple months takes it down even further. I'm not sure. So decimal 9.4 to decimal 8.8. Decimal 8.8 is a decent waist-hip ratio. I'd like to be down to decimal 8.5. On day 5, I was able to lift weights without cramping because I had been adding some salt to my water and food. If you've been following my journey, my main side effect was cramping and the sensation of dehydration and increased thirst. That recovered once I started adding some electrolytes to my meals. It was a little bit, I should have been on it earlier, is my point. So that's something that I'll keep in mind. On day 5, what I noticed higher than usual catecholamine responses, which means whenever there was a stressful event, I noticed my stress response was a little high compared to what I'm used to. I'm used to being calm and cool and collected and pretty good at handling stress. On that day, whenever there were situational stressors, I could feel my heart rate go up. I could feel the physical symptoms of stress, which is kind of unlike me at this point. I'm able to go on stage and speak, and I'm able to speak clearly in difficult circumstances, that type of thing. On that day, things were a little bit different physically. Like, for example, True, my little daughter, she accidentally rolled off her tiny little couch onto the floor. She was absolutely fine, but my heart rate went very high, which is unlike me. Usually I can race over and be cool and help her out, but in that state, I still could, but I had physical symptoms of stress, which was a bit strange. So I have been speaking about anxiety and emotional changes on a ketogenic diet throughout the entire process. Day 5, I felt some physical changes that are sort of unlike me. So something to keep in mind if this is the path that you are on or that you plan to go on. The final thing I'll comment on is nighttime energy was sky high on day 5, which is not helpful for me, and I did not consume caffeine in the afternoon, which had been my problem in days prior. I didn't do that, and my nighttime energy was still sky high. It took me a while to fall asleep, but then again, I didn't need as much sleep as I needed the few nights before. So, energy shifts were strange up and down the entire 5 days, and that the inability to fall asleep was difficult for me because I like being able to fall asleep quickly. Anyhow, that's my 5-day update. So lost weight, lost waist circumference, and felt significant mental clarity, but had a range of side effects which I've covered many times. So overall, I think it was a good path for me to trial through because therapeutically I want to use this type of diet with many different patient populations, and I think it's a great metabolic boost for people who are healthy enough to try it. So I enjoyed doing it. I will do it every quarter. This is going to be part of my life for a while now, specifically the vegan version of a ketogenic diet, but not prolonged, not longer than 5 days for me. I don't think it's appropriate. So a few things I will comment on moving forward. I'm 2 days out, and my reintroduction of foods has gone as follows. On the first day after, I added extra protein in the form of eggs. Now, if you're a strict vegan, you could do extra protein powder. I needed to catch up to my protein requirements so I could get back to exercising at the capacity that I wanted to. I couldn't exercise at the capacity I wanted to when I was actually on the cleanse. So on the 6th day, I added eggs, and I added a higher calorie lunch. So my caloric intake went up from 1,300 up to 1,600, which was really helpful for me in the form of protein for breakfast and a little more carbohydrate for lunch in the form of vegetables. My 35 grams went up to about 45, 50 grams, which was good for me and no significant side effects. On the 7th day, it was my birthday, so I added a slice of cheesecake and 6 cups of popcorn. So I'm trying to add carbohydrates in. So cheesecake had fats and some carbs, and the popcorn obviously had carbohydrates. So my carbohydrates for that day from the cheesecake, I think it was 44 grams extra, and from the popcorn it was something like 30 or so. I'm not 100% sure, but I was over 100 grams of carbs, but not higher than 120, I believe. Anyways, I woke up the next morning with a headache that resolved with water. It could have been the salt on the popcorn swinging the total opposite way and not drinking enough water. That could have been an issue, but also just the carbohydrate content could have driven my vascular system in a different direction. Anyhow, woke up with a slight headache, but it resolved right away with water and coffee. Otherwise, feeling good, feeling fresh on the 8th day now, so things are well. So my plan for reintroduction would be complex carbohydrates, breakfast and lunch over the course of the next few days, and jumping right back on the Demi-Lean type of protocol, type of eating method as soon as possible. So that's Keto Vegan Cleanse, my Keto Vegan Cleanse 5-day update, and the kind of the roundup for the 5 days and how I've transitioned. 2 days out, my weight is exactly the same as it was on the 5th day. So with the increase in carbohydrates and the cheesecake, no increase in weight, still 138.6 or 134.8. 163.8. So 163.8. So basically 164, so still down 8 pounds. No change with the increase in caloric consumption, which means the metabolic boost that I achieved could be potentially maintained for a while. Even with a higher caloric intake, I still should be able to maintain the same weight. I will track that, maybe give updates in the future. But anyhow, that's my personal journey. Of course, an N of 1 study, just myself. But I learned a lot about the simple side effects of going completely onto ketones versus glucose for a very short period of time, and what it's like to transition personally back onto glucose at 80, 120 grams per day, and then we'll take it higher and see how it goes. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoy content like this, if you like holistic health and wellness videos, if you want to learn more about these types of protocols and therapeutic diets, please subscribe to our channel. We're going to be doing a lot of more videos like this, and maybe even challenging other therapeutic diets like fasting in the future. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.